Welcome to Property Banter by Pinnacle Buyers Agents. Today I'm joined by Hamada Alameddine, the Inner West's best from Inner West Nest. I think that's right. And today we're going to be talking about the Auction Playbook, a buyer's agent's secret to success. Hamada, did I get that right?
Yes, perfect.
That was a lot of...
It was good. It was good.
I'm getting better.
Inner West Nest best. That was good.
So you're working with the Inner West Nest team?
Yes. So freshly collaborated with Angus and Mitch, 3 buyers agents in the Inner West that were working separately at one point, and we've just come together this year to form a very dedicated agency strictly for the Inner West of Sydney.
Nice.
So a lot of your viewers will probably be talking.
And you're an expert in that Inner West area, right? That's what you've been doing since you started your buyer's agent career. Now in your, 6th year, 5th year?
6th year now as a buyer's agent. First year together with the boys at Inner West Nest. Inner West, I'd love to say born and raised, born in Lebanon.
Yeah.
Came to Newtown in the mid-'80s with mum and dad as migrants. So we come to Sydney in the 80s as migrants from Lebanon into Newtown, which is, I think for mum and dad, a very different place to what they were accustomed to back in Lebanon. But yeah, grew up there.
Newtown's a very different place in general.
The demographic has shifted a lot over the years. When we were there, I remember people with tattoos and, big mohawks and coloured hair.
That's what I remember it as.
And it's still very much the same, quite diverse now, but it's definitely changed. But we spent some time in Annandale as well. Dad was a shopkeeper, so moved around from place to place. So I went to Camdenville Public School and then sort of went to Leichhardt High. And then
you didn't end up going for Balmain?
No.
You ended up going for the doggies?
No, Canterbury.
Canterbury all the way.
Born and bred. Yeah, so look, the Inner West is pretty dear to my heart. The market or the property market is a pretty special one as well. It's very different to most places because the Inner West provides so much different cultural diversity, but suburb to suburb, it's quite different as well. Like you got Ashfield, which is, from a demographic perspective, quite different to Balmain, of course, all part of the Inner West still. So a good place. Lovely place. Awesome place to buy property as well.
Nice fun. Now let's talk about that before we get into the auction playbook and what you're seeing people do wrong and what differentiates you in your strategy. And I know you're very cool-headed auction expert. And before we get to that, let's talk about the Inner West. What's going on in terms of what's going on in the property market? Give everyone a bit of an update now as of, what is it, July? Nearly August 2025.
Yeah, exactly. End of July. So coming into a new financial year. So pre-June was very quiet. Like before June it was pretty quiet. Like Anzac, Easter all fell into the same sort of period. School holidays slowed it right down. Interest rates were going to get cut. They didn't get cut from memory. Then they got cut. It's kind of inflated buyer sentiment a little bit. So it's made people a bit more confident. Inner West, you're talking, bare bones to get into like a fly-blown apartment. You're $600,000 in.
That's a two-bedder. 2-2?
1. 1 to 2 in some pretty compromised positions in terms of busy roads or train tracks, flight paths,
that's entry level. Yeah.
Very, very entry level. So a lot of the first home buyers that I'm working with a couple at the moment, their budgets range from $800K to 1.2.
Yep.
Then you've got sort of upsizes in between there up to the 3 mil mark and downsizes from the bigger homes coming back down into that 3 mil territory. So it's a very inconsistent market right now, if that makes sense. Good stock that doesn't need work sells really well, I'm finding. The older stuff that needs a lot of work, if it's a proper flipper, developers and the blockheads or whatever you want to call them are right into that thinking they're going to make squillions off the deal. So they go pretty well. But anything in a compromised spot or a busy road, for instance, or a two-bedder that you can't increase floor space, so to say, they struggle a little bit in certain pockets. Very buoyant market, but stock's super tight, like super tight. And everyone talks about after the school holidays, Easter, it'll bounce. Yeah, it hasn't. Stock's still pretty low. Clearance rates are okay in terms of auctions because auctions are always strong in the Inner West, but stock's quite low. A lot of vendors, I feel, are still mortgage locked, so they want to downsize or upsize. They want to upsize or they want to release money to do renos, but they can't because obviously wages are going nowhere. Yeah, interest rates are coming back slowly. Yeah, affordability is absurd. A coffee costs you $6-7, right? Yeah. people are still finding money to spend money on coffees, but don't want to spend in other places where they probably could do it a bit better. So there's that element to what's holding stock back. I think people just feel that the value of their property is going to keep going up, and while they're comfortable there, they stay there. So there's no need to sell unless they absolutely have to. So remember a couple of years ago, the mortgage cliff, and everyone's going to go bankrupt and the world's going to end and blah blah. That never happened. There's a lot of old money in the inner west as well. Old money being early inheritance, a lot of generational wealth, people that
a lot of the old school wogs. Let's just call it as it is.
I was going to say that. They just bought fucking everything.
And they won't be selling.
No, and they bought everything and they hold on to it. And there's vacant blocks all up and down King Street, up and down Parramatta Road, Norton Street, any busy strip with shop tops, those shops at the bottom and apartments or houses up the top. They own heaps of them. And they're like, why would I pay tax and put a tenant in there? I'll just keep them vacant.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
So I reckon there's a lot of them that aren't leveraged highly either. I reckon they're in really
we're
good
talking
position.
like 67-year-old, I don't call them what you did,
but
that
it's
don't
my
understand.
podcast. You can say what you want.
They don't understand leverage, and they're like, "I'll just accumulate."
Yeah,
I'll just accumulate. And if they're bringing in $300K a year in rent, I'll just buy something else. I'll just buy, and they keep buying, right? But back to the residential sector or the residential market in the inner west, it's definitely being held back by low stock. There's an infinite amount of buyers as opposed to sellers at the moment. You go to any open in the inner west, and this is from like the outskirts of Earlwood Croydon Park right through to the guts of Erskineville and back across Balmain. First weekend or first open of a property that's online, guaranteed to have 20 to 40 to 50 people there. We'll talk about price guides and that later. So the guides get people in, and then they weed through, and then they eventually sell for a lot more than what they're selling or what they're guiding for in most cases. But it's a pretty incredible market. Like you can buy in an area that's very family friendly with big wide streets and big wide blocks and everything you want, and then you can, ship 4 suburbs over, and for the same amount of money, you're buying a quarter of what you're getting over here, if that makes sense. But that comes down to family values and dynamics and what people want. Young professionals, a lot of people in the tech space, they're setting up precincts in the city for all the tech giants at the moment. So a lot of people are moving not directly into the city, but they want to be somewhere with a bit more culture and community, where it's not just concrete buildings everywhere. So the inner west is serious.
It has that charm.
Well, you look at Glebe, Forest Lodge, Annandale. They're 4 or 5 Ks from the CBD, 7 or 8 minute bus trip, and you're onto George Street essentially, right? So there's a lot of beauty, and there's a lot that attracts people to the inner west. So there's always a diverse amount of people looking, and like I said, people from 600-700K all the way up to in the premier places or the prestige places, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. 13, 15 mil in some places, right? So there's always going to be people searching there. I think people come from outside the inner west looking for something different, and it's definitely there. So
100%. Well, there's no new land releases in the inner west, right? No. So what you have is a lot of that old money staying put. You have a lot of buyers looking to enter the market and get their home, and that's why you have that 20 to 40, like you said, at an open home, whether it's bait priced or not. We're going to come back to that later, but the demand is there. The hold periods, I haven't checked hold periods, but I'm sure they're significantly up if we check the data. People don't want to sell. People want to be in those areas, and they're hanging on to those properties longer because the area is desirable. School zones are great. Lifestyle's great. Minus the $6 coffee. It's still a cracking area, right?
Absolutely. But if you can afford to live,
you can pay $6.
If you can afford a $2.5 million mortgage, you can afford a $6 coffee, right? That's true. In most cases, but that's generalization. Hold times varies, right? You look at people that are buying those 100K apartments, 2 to 3 years, they're upsizing. I think people buying 2 or 3 bedroom houses, 5 to 7 years, I find.
Yeah.
And that comes into my search strategy. I'm always going backwards. What sold 5-6 years ago? Yeah. As to who can I target, or who can I approach, or who can I make direct approaches to? Yeah. Bigger homes? Yeah. Like you go 3 to 4 bed homes on bigger blocks with parking. Like people like myself and my wife, we've just upsized. 3-bed home, we're going to do a reno. Kids are going to go through high school. Like all the old blogs say, I'll be leaving when I go to Rookwood, but I won't be in that sense. But a lot of people then map out, my kids are in primary school, they're in a good catchment, they're going to go to this high school, this house will fit the family, and we can grow into it for the next 20 years. Yeah. So then there's longer stretches, but there's always upsizes. But then you've got the people at the back end of what I just spoke about in their 50s, 60s that don't need a 3 or 4 bedroom home anymore.
That's true.
So they're downsizing. So they sell for X amount.
Yeah.
They come back down the pecking order and pay whopping overs
Yeah.
for something in the same street, essentially, because they don't need as much house. So that's what we're competing with. Old and new money, right? So you got money that's old and been in the family forever, and then there's the boomers that are selling and giving a bit to the kids to jack their prices up or jack their budgets up, but also, you know, for a boomer, that if a house is worth $2 million and they have to pay 2.2 for it, it's not going to make bugger all difference to them. They're going to pay it.
Yeah.
So that's what we're competing with. So it is difficult. It's a very tricky market. It comes back down to having the right relationship with the people you're buying properties from, agents. It's understanding how a negotiation works. In the sense, it's not just me. It's me and somebody else on the other side, and you need to accommodate to both my side and their side, and trying to find an equal balance of fairness. Exactly. A lot of times you don't find that, and you walk away, or you overpay, or if you're working with the wrong buyer's agent, you get pushed to overpay because you know, the faster they transact, faster they get paid. Yeah. Right. So, and you can see that throughout the marketplace, and you can pick who's paid too much, and you kind of assimilate why they've paid too much. And you know, if it's a person that's downsized in the same street, fair call, right? But there is a lot of people paying for the opportunity to want to live in the inner west, and that comes at a cost. Yeah. So if I've valued a property and I feel it's worth keeping numbers around $2 million, my CMA will tell me, our range is 185 to 2 million and 50, whatever it might be. It's quite broad. We'll discuss why I feel it sits here, why I feel we're going to have to go here for the opportunity, and it's a discussion based on the merits of the property, my client's finances, make sure we can afford it, because competition will drive us there. And we'll talk about this in the auction strategy a bit later, but when I'm helping somebody buy a home, it's not just rocking up to a property and trying to buy it. I'm trying to understand through buyer work what other people are looking, which other buyers are on it, what budgets they've got, what they've bid up to, trying to find out what sort of budgets they have and where they've played on, what properties they've played on. And that's getting to every auction I can on the weekend. And then when properties have sold, trying to find out who it was. So I'm sort of profiling the buyers in my area, so I can sort of.
So you're very finely tuned in to what's going on, who's buying what they're paying.
You have to.
Yeah.
It's not like what you do in the investor space where it's a numbers and a data play, right? You can buy a property 3,000 Ks away, not that far, 500 Ks away without it leaving your desk, because the numbers stack up, the person inspecting it, you fly up, you take a look at it, you buy it, right? Yeah. Much like you did for me when I built my first property up here. Yeah. I don't think I even walked through it, did I? I can't remember. I think I did once.
You did it. For those of you who don't know, we can touch on that with you. I know you from back in the day. Yeah. And I was your buyer's agent back in the day.
You were, man. I saw a beautiful face on a Current Affair or somewhere, or Today Show or something, and you piqued my interest. And I bought property myself in Sydney, and a lot of it. But then when I wanted to sort of diversify what I was doing, Queensland made a lot of sense. I was listening to podcasts. I'd never bought interstate. I was buying property in Sydney, doing renos and flips and whatnot in a previous life before I was a buyer's agent. And then, I came across you and other buyer's agents, and I'm like, why the fuck would someone pay someone to help them buy a property? And here I am doing the exact same thing, right? So, but we got talking, and we bought a property, sold a few. Just last year, actually, we sold it. Yeah. They helped us build another property in Sydney. Nice. So,
Yeah, definitely. We jumped into that one for you. I think 295,000, if I can remember. I think I got 290 or 295.
I can't remember.
And it was just before COVID. I think it was 2019.
18.
And then 2019, 18. Yeah. We're talking for a couple of years there. Yeah. And then boom, made some money. So that's fantastic. So going back to that, this isn't just me bragging about how much money I made you, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about how you got into being a BA, because you now, like we said, you're 60 year. I look at you and I know you're an auction expert, and there's not many BAs that I would sit here and go, you know what, this guy would be better than me at whatever they're doing. But I can sit here and honestly, comfortably say, man, what you do in the Inner West, your strategy and what we're going to get to, mate, second to none. I've got a lot of respect for you in that field. Man. But that's obviously taken some time as well.
And that's exactly what it is. It is time. Like you see a lot of people come into it from different backgrounds with no real experience. I was fortunate enough that I came into being a buyer's agent was through my previous business, where we had the opportunity and the finances, the capacity and, the appetite for risk to do what we were doing. We were buying property, getting DAs and selling them. We were buying properties, doing a renovation, selling them. So I was attuned to the Inner West market, and I knew agents and I knew how to buy property. I'd made mistakes, lost money, made money, learnt how the whole DA process, the LEP, the DCP, Land Environment Court, that was a fun first experience. So I had a pretty good experience journey towards becoming a buyer's agent. And then when I got out of the business I was in the wilderness for a year, had a wrist injury, so I took some time off, and then I went into construction for a Tier 1 builder. While I was there, I got my real estate license wanting to sell property back in 18, 19, wanting to sell property, and then I used you to buy that property in Crestmead, right? Before I'd used you, like I said earlier, I'm like, why would I pay somebody? Because I was trying to do it by myself and I was trying to research out of my little bubble being the inner west, right? That's where I bought all my property growing up, in the early years of buying property. So I started looking into the Central Coast and then Newcastle, and then there was 20 suburbs in Newcastle, and in those suburbs there was little macro and micro demi-markets, and I'm like, semi-markets, sorry, and I'm like, the fuck is this shit? Yeah, one street.
There's a lot to it.
Oh, there's heaps. And I'm like, stuff this. I can't. And luckily my wife reins me in. I'm a risk taker and I love debt. She doesn't. Yeah. And she's like, no, you're not doing that. Yeah. We're going to lose too much, or it's not going to work out. So I took a different approach, and I said, I'll get a professional help, and then she'll let me. And then she'll get on board to wanting to do it, right? And there we are. So that was my first journey with a buyer's agent. From there,
make sure you say it was a good one.
Oh, amazing!
We're on camera here.
Amazing. Well, it's funny. I rang you a week ago talking. I've got some leverage money. What do we do with it? Yeah. Fortunately, the accountant said, you're dreaming. So here we are doing a podcast instead of buying a property.
There you go.
But no, definitely. And I've recommended you often to many people within my circle. Yeah, so from there, essentially, I didn't want to trade the 70, 80 hours a week behind a desk in a construction job for my time. I had a daughter. My second child was born. Yeah. Wouldn't see him in the morning because I'd be out by 5:30. I gave up on myself. I couldn't train. I was physically, I was terrible. As you know, I had a heart problem on the back of, I just think, being unhealthy. And that was sort of the wake-up call that, as long as I keep doing this, I'm going to be stagnant. My kids are going to grow up and I'm just going to be stuck in the box at work doing what I'm doing, providing. So I was trading time for money, essentially. There had to be a better way. So I started educating myself and ended up looking at my real estate license on the back of our conversations to sell property, because I knew property. I didn't know I could help people buy property. One thing,
and the rest is history.
One thing led to another. I met a fine fellow that sort of mentored me through it. I ended up joining BuyerX, which is a fantastic organisation. They're a national buyers agency. I think a lot of people do it the wrong way. They get their license and they do it by themselves. No systems, no processes, no anything really, and they piss in the wind and hope for the best. And they're playing with people's livelihoods, especially in the PPOR space, right? An investment, you take it on board, it's 500, 600K, 800K, 900K. Yeah. You've got a small amount of debt, or a big amount of debt, small amount of capital in it if you're not borrowing as much. If it doesn't work out, you sell it and you work out. If you're guiding people with the biggest financial decision in buying their family home, which will then be the backbone of everything else they do, especially in the inner west, you can't be pissing in the wind.
No, you need to know.
You can't be.
Well, now it's like you can just be a buyer's agent without, you can be a side hustler is what they call it, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So you can be a side hustler.
Yeah.
I mean, I bought 14 properties in 12 months. I built a 17 property portfolio before I got my real estate license.
There you go.
And I'm telling you now, I look back at myself and that kid was hopeless compared to how good I am today.
Yeah, but that's what.
But I was still credible.
That was my journey, right? Before I was a buyer's agent. But like I said, bought and sold property, made all my mistakes, worked out my own kind of process in terms of how to do it and what to do, and learn how to negotiate. With the business, I used to negotiate all the time because we were always dealing with things that we had to negotiate. But buying a property is different for yourself, especially, right? Because it's your money, and there's an intrinsic emotional connection to that. And the questions people always ask themselves: Am I making the right decision? Am I offering the right amount? Have I done the right due diligence? Is it the right property? Is that third bed really going to be big enough for long enough? Fuck, what happens when it's too small? What do we do then? A lot of my clients are texting me at 9, 10 o'clock at night. They put their kids down or they finish work for the day. They're lying in bed going,
they're thinking,
fuck, what do we do? Are we making the right choices? Yeah. And you can't do that if, no offense to them, you can't do that if you've come from an IT background or a nail salon or whatever background you've come from, right? So to be a good buyer's agent, you need to understand your marketplace. You need to be an area specialist in a sense from a PPOR perspective, so that you can give people the advice and the comfort they need to make those right decisions.
Yeah,
you know,
level-headed.
Oh, you have to be. You have to be. Yeah, it's their home, it's their money, and it's their decision, right? I'm not going to make people's decisions for them. I'm going to help them get to the right place to make the right decisions.
Yeah, without the emotion.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
100%.
So when I look at it, and this isn't just where you're from. If you're a nail technician or you're from IT or from whatever, I'm telling you now, if I'm negotiating something, I am really, really good. I think I'm the best in the country, right? I genuinely believe that, right? I genuinely believe that.
Yeah,
but when it comes to something I've got emotion with, and I noticed because it happened the other day, and I used someone to help me negotiate it, and I sat there with absolute emotion and aggression with this one thing because it pissed me off and it triggered me. And that never happens, but it was a personal thing.
Ego.
So you see how ego, pride, because I didn't like this thing. And I needed someone to help me. I'm telling you now.
When you're standing at an auction, what do you think you're looking at? Ego and pride.
So now let's get into that, talking about auctions, right? Because I can see the importance of not utilizing your ego and pride and attitude and emotion in negotiating, right? So now you must come across a lot of this in your space, because I'm not a big auction guy, right? I buy all my best off-market deals for my clients. I know how to value them and I know how to get the right stock for investors. And for investors, that strategy really works. There is not a lot of people selling their owner-occupier homes in the inner west under market value, okay? Because if anything, the inner west, everyone's getting market and plus, So let's talk about that. What are you seeing at an auction on a Saturday? Because let's say you got 20 buyers. Is it roughly 20 buyers at an auction?
Not buyers. There's a crowd. A big auction, there'd be 10 regos. A not so big auction, there'd be 2 to 3.
Yeah.
And understanding the way agents run their processes and how they manage their campaigns and which agent within that agency.
Because they're all different.
They're all different, right?
So you need to know.
Exactly. So what I'm seeing at auctions is if it's going to auction, 9 times out of 10, there's 3 or 4 regos on it. If it's under that, depending who it is, generally they'll pull it and try to sell it before. They'll just pull the auction so they don't lose momentum, and they'll just just goes back to for sale or whatever it is. So if we're going to auction, you need to understand who your buyers are, who you're competing with, what budget we're playing in. You go into an auction with a budget. Are you at the top end of that budget, or are you heavy? Have you got more than necessarily needed? That sort of dictates strategy and bid increments and how I position myself. Sometimes, I'll come in from the start and run till the end. Sometimes.
So give us a scenario, a time when you really had to stamp your authority in the auction, right? Give us that scenario for everyone at home and how that played out when it's something that's not what you would normally do. So at an auction, the majority of people think, I'll just bid the next amount.
What I was talking to you about earlier was it was a property in Petersham. We had a fairly good budget, but it was on the cusp, and I knew other players were there that had way more money than we did, but it needed a fuck ton of work, talking big home, lots of fucking work, conservation, heritage overlay, so you can't knock it down. You got to work within the confines of what you've got.
Or in other words, a nightmare.
There was risk involved, right? So we set a fair number within what we thought where we saw value for the property. Anyways, I understood who was there. I were talking with the lead agent and other agents in the area and seeing who's been bidding at places. I kind of worked out who was playing and what sort of budgets they had. Our bidding started at like 2.3. The guide was 2.3. Ended up selling for a touch over 3 million, right? So a $700K difference between where it started, where it ended. And that's Sydney for you, the inner west for you, the eastern suburbs. That's how the general dynamic of a property campaign goes. Anyways, started pretty early at like 2.3. I can't remember if I started or I came in a bit later, but I knew there was 2 buyers that were going to play between 2.5 to 2.750 based on what I'd seen them. It's an assumption. You never know, but with the data and the information and my assumptions, that's where I figured they were going to play. And then there was one more that probably had more money than me, but I had to stamp my authority in the sense where started at 2.3 at 2.550 or so, I just 300K. Auctioneer thought I said 30 or something. The crowd was
because he would have thought he didn't hear right.
No, exactly. So that got rid of those 2 people. And the reason I wanted to get rid of them was I didn't know where they were going to stop. And by getting them out of the auction and dropping their emotional state a little bit, I figured it'll keep them there. Where if you let people going 25s and 10s and 25s and 10s for 300K.
They still have confidence.
Well, no, they get more emotionally attached, and then pride and ego sort of kick in. And so to get rid of them, I got rid of them. They stopped, and then the other lady started. And then from 2,850, we ended up just touch over 3 mil, but we bought the property.
And you got it?
Yes, but every property has a different strategy, and people always ask me before we engage, what's your strategy going to be? I don't know. It sort of happens on the morning once I've worked out who's there. And
that's what a lot of people now, sorry to cut you off, what I learned from what you're telling me right now as well is a lot of people at home would think, yeah, I can go do it myself. Now, you may well be able to go to an auction and put your hand up. No one's saying you can't do it. I'm saying I could learn how to be a heart surgeon from a textbook, okay? I'm not saying I'm the best heart surgeon. I'm saying I can do it because I read a textbook. What I'm picking up here is you're actually at an auction playing against other players and knowing how they behave because you watch them the week before and you watch the other buyer's agent the week before that and you know how they act, you know their strategies that they use. So you're essentially, you're in the game all the time. So you already know how it works. You also, how many of those agents do you buy from on a regular basis? You know how they run their campaigns.
But it's not the buying. You don't buy from them every time, but you're dealing with them weekly and you're talking about their campaigns and you might negotiate pre-auction and then you might go to auction or you might be negotiating afterwards. You don't buy all the properties, but you're involved in many, many campaigns, right?
Yeah.
So, essentially you're reading the room. It's like playing poker. You don't know what the person across from you's got. You're trying to read what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to tell you what I'm looking for because that's what people pay me for, but you're looking.
Yeah.
Just subtle things, man, like as small as eye twitches.
So I say that in negotiation, same thing. It's like playing poker. I want to know what hand you're holding as much as possible, but without revealing mine.
Yeah. But you're also trying to preempt what they're going to do so that you can beat them to the next stage. I don't know if you look at my socials, the most recent video I put up about the auction when I was up in Bathurst.
Yeah.
Helped a mate buy a farm out of my core area.
Yeah.
I had nothing. I just walked into the room. We were going to do it over the phone.
Yeah.
Because it was a 3-hour drive and he was flying back from overseas and it was too hard for them.
Yeah.
I was always going to bid for him, but it was going to be on the phone. And then 2 or 3 days beforehand, I'm like, something's irking me. It's not right. Agents I've never met. I thought it was going to be a video hookup. And I said, can I see the whole room? He's like, oh, no, the video hookup's just straight down the barrel at the auctioneer.
Yeah.
We'll have you on the phone. Fuck that.
No, you need to see the room.
Oh, straight down, yeah. I drove down, read the room. There was more agents than people. There was a lot of people that were locals that weren't bidding. Person I was bidding against was another Sydney fella. So I had a good read. I knew it was a bush block. And by talking to other agents, they sort of told me what his intention was with the property. Like for my client, it was just lifestyle.
Mate, and this is another thing. People reveal to the agent.
Of course.
During the week, what their thoughts are on it. Don't reveal your thoughts to the agent.
Of course.
Don't give the agent a single thing during the week. Because that agent might have a mate that's there as well. He'll give him the info.
You don't know who's there, right? So I had to implement a strategy where I was just extremely bullish from the get-go. I stood back, did nothing. Old mate started bidding low, like I paid close to 2 mil. It was 1,975 we paid for it. Bidding started at 1,475 or 1,450. He did. Quite low, below their guide. I can't remember what their guide was. I don't know if there was a guide. And then went straight to 50s. And I just punished him and kept pushing him till he dropped, right? So he dropped and then he dropped down, went 10s and I went 50 again.
You just kept the 50s up.
Well, no, I went to 10s to make him think that I was slowing down with him. And then
you went up.
Exactly. And it just sort of just fucks
with
their head.
His mind, yes.
I wanted to slow it down at that point because he'd reached his tether and I wanted to start saving my client the money I could save him.
Yeah.
And that's a difference between, saving money in a negotiation because nobody in the inner west, nobody really is going to drop their pants and sell their property for less.
No, you guys don't sell there's no undervalued properties the way we buy them.
No. Look, from time to time, there's good deals where you're paying bang on market or maybe less.
See, a good deal to you is bang on market. Yeah. A good deal to me is like...
Yeah. And look, if anyone tells you my marketplace that we're buying under market value,
there's no way. I don't believe that anyone buys under market value.
No, you can't.
You have to pay overs.
You can't.
And if you buy at market, you're golden.
Yeah.
That's how I see your market.
I'm not always paying overs. There's market. Market is a range, right? And it's too hard to pinpoint because every property, you can't pin two of the exact same properties, even if they were side by side at the same price. There's always a different price point. Obviously, we want to go out and buy for the best price possible.
Yeah.
But you're not buying You're not buying unders.
Tell me about glasses. Are you wearing glasses in an auction all the time? Are you sunnies?
Oh, I know. If I'm outside, yeah, fuck, man. I've got terrible eyes.
Yeah.
That's partly why the hat's there, because I can't see if it's raining and shit. But generally, yeah, but I don't care about that.
No?
No, I don't care.
So the reason I'm asking,
Yeah.
to give everyone at home now,
Yeah.
give them a couple of tips. We don't want to. I'm sure you've got a couple that are just your secret ammo. But let's give them a couple of tips. Give them the top 3 things that they need to.
I can't give you the top 3 things, but body language is a big one.
Yeah.
The way people stand, what people are doing with their hands, what they're doing with their feet, what their shoulders are doing, everything. Yeah, man. Even if the person...
So it is like a game of poker.
100%, but a lot of people don't even think about this. If you're holding the paddle and your wife or your partner standing next to you, they're probably going to give me more information about what's going on than you, because you're trying to be this.
Yeah. And you could be good at what you do.
Yeah, absolutely.
But she could be giving it away, or he could be giving it away.
100%.
Yeah?
That's why my clients are never beside me, not around me. They can be in the same room, but stand over there.
Yeah.
And you got to get clear on what you're doing. You got to set a firm budget and stick to it. There's no fucking text messages. There's no
changing your mind at the end.
You change your mind at the end, it's game over, because as soon as you're trying to text or look for someone for more money, you run out of it. Everyone, Blind Freddy knows that, right? So you just got to go in and make everyone think you've got $10 billion and you're going to spend all of it.
And you've got to have the confidence
and nobody knows where
to match it.
Yeah, confidence is definitely a big thing, but you need to be, can't think of the word.
Play it. You need to play it.
Yeah.
Play the part accordingly.
Yeah, but then sometimes I'm doing fucking weird shit to make people think I'm running
Oh,
out.
yeah?
Fucking oath. Yeah, man.
Interesting.
Yeah. Like, it's all gameplay. It's theatre. Auction's theatre. Why do you think auctioneers are so, whoa? They're getting people into the mood. They're getting people hyped. They're trying to get the emotion away from people to get them active.
Yeah.
But then they lean back on, it's a 4-bedroom home. If you don't buy it today, you're going to pay more tomorrow and blah, blah, all
He's
that
playing on
bullshit.
emotion.
So it's sucking people in.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So and if I'm up against other buyer's agents or other people that have had multiple attempts, they're probably getting a read on me. A lot of buyer's agents in the West know how I bid. But no auction's the same. And how I bid today will be different to what I'm doing tomorrow.
And also how you bid today, if there was that other buyer's agent that you're coming up against this week, you've been up against him last week, he might be expecting you to do something. And you might do something that's totally opposite to throw him off.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's why understanding your marketplace is so important.
Yeah. See, a lot of people don't think of this.
Oh, you have to. It's not like people aren't paying me a reasonable amount of money just to go source a property. That's not what buyers agents do. Yeah, it's one component of what we do, but it's not the only part of it.
Yeah.
You know, like my process is expectations, clarity, compromise. If we can't get those 3 things sorted, we don't start working together. Yeah. I push back a lot of people. My approach is completely different. It's not just quantity. Come. Yeah, I don't take on competing briefs. Yep. You know, I could work with 15, 20 people, no problem. But the inner west is 30, 35 suburbs. Eventually, you're going to start competing with your own clients. Fuck that.
So with the competing brief, we make sure that they know there's a competing brief, and then just so you know that if the property does come up, it goes first to the person who signed up first that has the same up to $700K price point or whatever it may be.
Yeah, but see, I'm not in the investment space. I'm buying you a family home space.
Yeah.
So you're paying me, you get all of me.
Yeah.
5, 6 clients on any given time, 7, 8 if I need to take them on.
Yeah.
But beyond that, you know, from 800K to 5, 6 mil, there's a lot going on in between, right? 5, 6 clients.
Yeah.
And people go from 5 mil to 3.5 mil pretty quickly because something comes up that they can fucking whack $1 million into and turn it into their 4.5, 5 mil home.
Yeah.
So then they're encroaching on a different brief. So you have to keep everyone at arm's length. And the only way to do that is to limit the numbers. By limiting the numbers, my output...
They get more review.
My output is extraordinary. If I'm stretched with 10 to 15 clients, what am I giving everyone?
Yeah.
Barely a text a day.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you speak to anybody that I work with, whether it's 6 a.m., 6 p.m. or 12 p.m., if I'm available.
I had to drag you in here just now from the charger.
Exactly. You can argue that with my wife as well. But it's about service. It's about quality. So it's a process. It's getting very clear understanding on what we're doing and why we're doing it, what our budget is and where our budget puts us, what type of home types that puts us in, what location that puts us in. Then we go to market. And anybody can find a property. Anyone can find off markets. You ring enough agents and say, put me on your database, you'll start getting off markets.
Yeah.
But it's the ones that you're only looking at.
Yeah.
I'm only looking at. Maybe there's another BA or 2 other buyers in the home and it sells a day later. they're proper off markets.
Yeah.
But a lot of people want this, I just want off markets thing because they feel like they're going to get better value.
Yeah.
They're off market for a fucking reason. You need to work out why.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it vendor's motivation, lack of motivation? Is their head that far up in the clouds that the agent needs to show them that, it's not 3 mil, buyer feedback's 2.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be privacy. They could be tight asses that don't want to spend money on whatever.
BPA.
You need to understand why it's off market, right?
Yep.
Then you go into the process of qualifying the property. And then from there.
And I think let's address this.
Yeah.
So in not just the inner west, but more affluent areas in tightly held suburbs, right?
Like, what do you mean?
Like where you're at, right? There is, in comparison to the stock that I buy in other investment areas in investment price points, okay?
Yeah.
It's easier for me to find an off-market deal that is under market value, right, in a Logan, in a Mount Druitt, in a equivalent suburb of Melbourne, and all across the country, right? But in a tightly held, owner-occupied neighbourhood, someone who lives in their home, they've got a nice home, they're looking to sell it. They don't just sell it under value. They don't just put it off market and sell it for 100 grand cheaper.
No.
It doesn't work that way. For a lot of the people, I want to talk about the off market versus, off market's good value versus off market it's not good value. Well, it's different for investment buyers agents versus what you do with the owner occupier space in an affluent area that's got higher owner occupier percentage. The off markets a lot of times aren't worth worth what they're cracked up to be in those areas. But then you can buy under market value properties that are off market in my space a lot easier.
There's probably abundantly. There's probably more stock because you're spreading. You're across a lot more areas, right? With us, like I said, there's 30 odd suburbs that we're targeting. Yeah, like we get off markets. We get 20, 30 a week. 28 of them are fucking rubbish. Yeah. Not rubbish, but there's problems, and you need to qualify the property. A lot of people, we get off markets. You jump on any database, any subscription list from an agency, and they're going to push you off markets. Yeah. But they're going to be on market next week. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So they're pre-market in the sense. Yeah. Trying to source off-market property is a big component of our search aspect because you're competing with less people. Yeah. But if you don't understand the value of property in the marketplace you're buying, then what are you pegging it against? Yep. Are you paying overs? Are you sure you're not paying overs? How are you valuing the property? So a lot of people get caught up in it, and agents love selling off markets because they get a buyer in that's got no idea. They set the price. Yeah. Then what happens? Yeah. See, we get those, so that's the difference. So we get those in the investment space, and we're like, no, it's overpriced straight away because I know how to value it in a second. Exactly. But in your space, that agent could well be taking advantage of that buyer. Because that buyer doesn't know. Oh, look, potentially. But and that's buyer beware, right? Like, what's the agent doing? They're trying to get the best result for who? They're the vendor. Exactly. But buyers are led to believe that they're also helping us buyers as well, which to a point they are. And I'm not going to shit can agents because a lot of them are fucking really good at what they do. Yeah. But they're a lot better at doing it for their. But that's their job. Exactly. That's their job. Exactly. So you should expect that. So as a buyer, if you're not represented by a buyer's agent, you should expect that agent. Yes, the agent's going to mediate to some extent. He's going to try and get the deal done. Yeah. But he's working for the vendor first. Yeah. I always tell people, a negotiation starts the moment you meet the agent. Yep. The moment you walk in the front door and they take in your details, that's when the negotiation starts. Not with you and the agent, but with the agent and you, because they're profiling. They're taking data. They're going through their database to see what you've been through. And don't forget, every time you check in at the door, if you've been through 20 properties, all at certain price points, and you've registered for 3 auctions at price points and you've bid up to this much, they know more about you than you know about that you think. They know more. Agents are feeding you what you need to know to keep you there as long as they need to get the result that they need. But also, agents do, just like you talking about your auction strategy and how you understand it, agents sell property every day. 100%. If you are not a buyer's agent, you don't buy property every day. You are never going to be at that agent's level. I don't care who you are. Let's touch on that, right? Growing up in this country, we're led to believe that buying your own home is like a rite of passage, right? Yep. Everyone does it. Everyone talks about it at fucking barbecues. Everyone talks about it at weddings. I love property, Everyone talks about it at the pub. Everyone talks about it everywhere. Property. We're very, very property driven, right? Especially a family home. So on average, and don't quote me on this, I'm making it up, how many homes do people buy in their lifetime? 1, 2, maybe 3? Not investors. I'm talking like
just
people.
General people.
People that go to work, and buy a family home. They
might buy
buy
a couple,
it, they'll sell, and they'll upsize. And then once they're done with life, then they downsize, right? How can you pin yourself up against someone that does this daily, weekly, that's involved in hundreds and hundreds of negotiations and think that you're going to have the skill set or the determination or the mental aptitude to be able to compete with them? And then you throw in 5 other people that are doing the exact same thing. What's your agent doing?
Yeah.
It's leverage, right?
Yeah.
Information is leverage. And that's what they're trying to get out of you before they start the monetary negotiation. Everything you've said to them, everything you've done leading up to that forms part of how they're going to position the negotiation.
How much they like you as well.
Well, that's true, of course.
Like there's people out there, and no disrespect to a lot of you, but a lot of you probably aren't well liked. And you don't know how to come across to an agent. And mate,
are you talking buyers or sellers?
So I'm talking about
buyers.
I'm
talking
about buyers. And sometimes they come in with stupid things. Like, I'm just going to put in a lowball offer.
Yeah.
You know, like, and a lowball offer that's way too low.
Yeah, I've spoken about this previously in a lot of my socials. You know, to earn respect, you've got to give a lot. And agents have this stigma where
that's
they're
Tony
unlike.
Soprano. Those who want respect, give respect.
Oh, of course. If you want to quote Sopranos, we can sit here all day. I think I've watched it back to back 4 times.
But it's true. It's a good statement.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
and a lot of people walk into an agent with their guards up. Agents asking questions. I won't give them any info. Give them info. Just give them the right info. Because you still need to work with them to get to a place where you're trying to get to.
Yeah.
So a lot of people have their guards up. They're disrespectful. They don't return phone calls. And then agents leave them out and then they don't get involved. And then the property sells and they're like, oh, but you didn't fucking call me back. What the hell? Well, you know, there's a process. So, yeah, respect goes a long way. And you can't walk in and just, you know, drop all the money you have in the first week hoping it's going to happen of a 4-week campaign. Agents aren't – if you haven't had the dialogue with them, if they don't want offers and you're going to force it on them, all you're going to do is make it harder for them to align their vendors' expectations to the market.
Yeah.
Follow their cues. Sometimes agents lead you in the right direction. You got to be good enough to understand if you're being led into the right position or the wrong position. Yeah. Because it all sounds fucking mad.
Yeah.
Oh, God,
but they'll make it sound great either.
Yeah, of course. But you need to understand, and that comes down to experience and dealing with them, right? So
now talk to us about, you would be very well versed in this, price guides.
Oh,
because I've seen many a price guide.
Yeah, it's like the cost of milk, right? You can't pick it.
Right, so I think there was an agency recently in Sydney that came under the.
There's many.
Yeah, there's many that are doing it. One got busted and got placed on current affair or whatever they were. Mate, it's common. It's very, very common, and a lot of people are given false hope, and they're way out from where the property really sells, like what the end result is versus what the price guide is. So tell us about that.
I don't think legally you don't have to align your guide with what the reserve is. You need to align your guide with what's on the agency agreement in New South Wales. Not sure how it works in Queensland, Victoria, anywhere else. So if on your agency agreement, and I'm sure there'll be a few agents out there that will correct me if I'm wrong because I don't sell property and I've never filled in an agency agreement.
Yeah.
If you're telling your vendors it's worth 1.5 to 1.6, there's a 10% allowable buffer that you can guide either side of that.
Yeah.
They'll put a guide that represents the bottom end of value.
Yes.
Bottom end of value. So if it's a round number, it's going to sell for 1.5, 1.6 in their eyes. They'll guide it 10 to 15% lower than that. They'll err on the side of caution and probably guide it a bit lower than they should be. And then people walk in and go, oh God, 1.250, 1.3. I've got 1.4. I'm going to buy these. So they'll go through the whole process of due diligence, contract reviews, pest and building strata, all the emotional energy, all the time and effort they put into opens and let's get mum and dad there, see what they think. The rest of it comes to auction, sells for 1.7. Dirty fucking agent, can't believe he did it to me. So that's where the agents get the bad stigma, but they're playing the game within the confines of what they're allowed to do.
The rules are.
You know, if you don't understand the rules, then you're kind of disadvantaged. Buyers, that is, right? And people scream and get
buyers don't, because they're always yelling at how the agent has underquoted.
Of course.
Underguiding and underquoting, Hamada, what are the difference?
Under guiding is what we just discussed, where they work at the bottom end of the range of what the property is worth to tell people this is the price guide to get more people through. Underquoting is when they actually say, and it doesn't happen to me recently, and it doesn't happen too much in my area, where say the property is worth 1.5, they know it's worth 1.5, and they tell someone it's going to sell for 1.2. That's actually underquoting the sale price.
Yep.
is my understanding.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm not sure if it happens too much in your space, but look, we're under guiding it's crazy where we are, and everybody knows, and most people that have been through the process a couple of times are trying to buy a property in a campaign, say, in a short span of time. If they're guiding X amount, add 10, 20% on.
Yeah.
Generally, that's where the price is going to lay. But in saying that, a lot of people will look at a property and go, oh, fuck, we can't afford it. It's going to be too much because of the under-guiding bullshit. And then it sells bang on the guide. So agents get it wrong too, right?
100%. Everyone gets it wrong. Everyone's human. There's always a human element to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And in wrapping up, I wanted to ask you, so for anyone out there, give us 2 tips for anyone looking to buy at auction.
Have a very, 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 and I'm going to emphasize very clear budget.
Yep.
So you walk away.
So walk away price. That's it.
Price. Man,
Yep.
with that, you arm for everything.
Yep.
Don't forget, the only person who's going to buy the property is generally the person who's got the most money. So if they've got more money than you and you've hit your limit, fucking call it quits. Walk away, go look for something else.
Makes sense.
Number 2, if without being funny, get a professional by your side. Get someone that knows what they're doing, because it could be a small fee to have a professional by your side could save you thousands, hundreds of thousands generally, if they know what they're doing as well.
I don't disagree. That's great advice.
Cheers.
Hamada, thank you so much for joining us.
My
I
pleasure.
appreciate it very much. Everyone, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Property Banter. That is Hamada from Inner West Nest. We're going to put his details on so you can contact him direct and his socials. He is the best in the Inner West. And look, get in touch with him. Top bloke as well, and he'll genuinely help you. Please don't forget, if you got a lot out of this, share it with someone. Like, subscribe, and until next time, take care.